Welcome to the Learn Tarot with Moxxie podcast, where you can learn to read the tarot for yourself and for others. Here we look at the tarot from all angles, and I share the very best ways to use it to work through past trauma and create the life that you love. So join me. Welcome back. I am excited for this episode. It's just a tiny bit late, but I think it'll be okay. We're going to be talking about our year cards in the tarot. And our year cards can be representative of a calendar year or a year from birthday to birthday. So if that's something that you might be interested in learning how to calculate your year card, learning how to interpret your year card, and other goodies, then stick around. But real quickly beforehand, I just have one very fast announcement, which is that I finally have a second course up on the Moxxie website. And this course is designed for people who are interested in creating their own courses. I have run into so many people who are like me, maybe have a small business that they're trying to promote, that, with whatever it is that they want to get out there. They want to share their knowledge and their wisdom, and they don't know where to begin. The course is free until February 28th, at which point I will begin charging for the course. But I have it up now because I always appreciate input whenever I launch something new, and it's available basically for you to test out in exchange for constructive criticism for me. So if that is something that you'd be interested in taking a look at, if you're interested in starting your own course, or if you know of someone who is, pass that information along and I will put a link in the show notes as well. And that is it for housekeeping this week, so let's go ahead and jump in. I chose this topic in honor of the beginning of the new year and had every intention of getting the episode out earlier, and then, life. So here we go. On February 7th, we are doing our reading to introduce you to your year card in the tarot. If you have taken my birth card course, you have an understanding of how the tarot and numerology can play together and what interesting information we can glean from a play date between the two of them. So today, instead of looking at our birth card, which is similar to our sun sign in astrology, we're going to be taking a look at our year card, which is simply an indicator of the energies around you for the year, the opportunities for growth, the areas where you have potential to learn some lessons in the upcoming year. To calculate your personal year card, you're going to take your birth date and your birth month, and you're going to add them to the current year. So for example, if someone was born on October 14th, they would be adding 10 plus 14 plus 2023, and they would come up with the number 2047, 2047. What they're going to do then is put a plus sign between each of those numbers. 2 plus 0 plus 4 plus 7. When you're finished with your extended calculation, you're going to end up with either a single digit or a double digit number. If you have a single digit number, that number is the number that represents your card for the year. If you have a double digit number and that number is 22 or below, then that card is your card for the year. If the number that you come up with your extended calculation is 23 or higher, what you'll need to do is add those two numbers together to get a single digit. And that is your card for the year, okay? So that's the only time that might get a little bit confusing, but it really is truly a very simple calculation. So if all of that is clear as mud, I will make sure to include instructions for you that make a little bit more sense, so you can actually do this for yourself. So you have your card figured out, and it's interesting. Okay, yes, I'm going to have a year that's related to justice, or I'm going to have a year that's related to the High Priestess, whatever. What else can I do with this information, right? Why is this important? And how can I use this on a bigger scale? We can look at our year card in isolation, or we can look at our year card in the context of everything that's gone on in our lives. If you were to calculate your year card for every year since you were born, if you are 23 or older, you will start to see patterns. Go ahead and calculate your year card for every year since you've been born. This is an exercise. This is a homework assignment. So calculate your card for every year since you've been born. And no complaining if you are older, because it takes longer, because this is one time when actually being older is an advantage. So go ahead and calculate all of them and then come back and see me. Okay, now you should have a list of what your year card was for every year since you were born. Now what I want you to do is take a look at that list and think back, recall, ponder, reminisce, whatever it is you need to do to conjure up relevant, important, critical, notable things that happened in your life, and write down that event next to the year. So what you're doing is you're creating a chart. Simple notebook paper, you've got a list of all of your birth cards. When you were age 1, it was this year and this was your birth card. When you were age 2, it was that year and that was your birth card. All the way down through your entire chronology. Now what I want you to do is look at your chart and go back and ponder and think about and remember all of the things that, the big stuff that has come up in your life that that was memorable enough for you to think of in this process, right? So maybe someone was born, maybe someone passed away, maybe someone got sick or divorced or who knows what, right? But take a few moments and go through that list and start to look at what was happening in your life on those or in those specific years. And again, this is just an exercise, like so much of the tarot, an exercise in just getting to know yourself better, right? Getting to know, in this case, the cards and how the cards impact you personally. So you have your list, and if you are 22 or younger, you have at the most one cycle of the major arcana cards. If you are 23 or over, you're going to start to see duplicates of those cards, right? Because this is a cycle. If you're at least 44, this is one time when it's an advantage to have a little bit of maturity because you've been through each cycle twice. And the information that you can glean from this exercise should be twice as useful. And maybe even more useful than that, because now by looking at the patterns that are emerging, by looking at what tends to happen in a justice year for you, or what tends to happen in a death year for you. Your next 22 years, you're going to have a little teeny tiny leg up on what you can expect from that year. And you may see patterns in a way that will allow you to look at and notice what you need to be working on that year. So, for example, if you saw in your first cycle, your lover's card was a really, really difficult year. It was your first love. It was your first heartbreak. It was wonderful and awful all at the same time. Well, the lover's card that comes up for you in your second cycle, you have a divorce, right? You got divorced the year that your lover's card came up. So now you have 2 years or 2 cycles that you can see where it looks like there are some challenges for you around your years of the lover. So who knows, maybe in your 3rd cycle, you're going to realize that you have found the person of your dreams, or maybe you're going to realize that you don't need to find the person of your dreams, and that you are enough in and of yourself. So just an example, but I think it's a really cool way to start looking at our lives, to start looking at the cycles in our lives. And I know that when you're in your 20s, it just seems crazy, right? To be thinking about cycles in your life. But trust me, the older you get, the more you're going to notice. And ideally, we all learn from the mistakes that we make. One thing everyone can do, and I would recommend everyone who chooses to figure out their card for the year does, is take some time and meditate on your card or with your card. Take some time to get to know your card, to feel into, number one, what is your original gut response to this card? If you have a card that challenges you or makes you feel uncomfortable, it's a good time to really look at that and figure out why is it that you're uncomfortable. To really dig into how this card and what it offers to you is impacting your life. One thing I really like to do with the year cards, especially because they're major arcana cards and this is a little bit easier, is to have a conversation with the persona in the card. So, for example, if my year card is the devil, and I know that the devil card has a tendency to be about vice, about us giving our power away, about us doing things that we know are not really what we should be doing, but doing them anyway. Learning and setting boundaries, learning what our boundaries are, learning what our boundaries should be. Then take a minute and sit down and meditate and introduce yourself to the devil in that card and say, hey, what's up this year? What are we working on? What is it that I need to, in your case, because it's the devil card, what is it that is keeping me stuck? What is it that's keeping me from moving my life forward in the direction that I want it to go? Is there a vice? Is there a fear? Is there something rational or irrational that is getting in my way of what I want to accomplish? And how can I work with you this year to best use the energy that you have? best use the energy that you bring to me. Because remember, just because it's the death card, just because it's the devil card doesn't mean it's a bad card. There are no bad cards in the tarot. It really is all about lesson learning, perspective gaining, and facing up to our own crap. If you're someone who has been into the tarot long enough to have a few tarot decks, it can be really interesting to get out all of the year cards from each of those tarot decks. Meaning if this year's card is the High Priestess, then get out the High Priestess from all of your different decks. Take a look at them, compare, contrast, see if there's any new information, any additional information that you might be able to glean when you look at the combinations of the cards from the different decks. It can be really insightful. If you're new to the tarot and it seems confusing to you to try to take a tarot card meaning and convert that into what it might mean for you in terms of a birth card, here are a couple examples, and I will be putting up a freebie that you can print off. If you hop over to the Moxxie website, you can print this off and have it in front of you when you do your own. So let's say your year card is the Magician. Well, remember that the Magician is all about creating new things, new energy. The Magician is really able to hone in on something, to focus on something, to create something new, to catalyze things, to create magic, right, in a way. So to translate that into what the heck does that mean for me in terms of my year, it means that you have this Magician energy available to you this year. That this energy of creation, this is a great time for you to be looking at what do I want to lead? What do I want to create? What can I bring to the world, share with the world, and offer to the world? Maybe your card is the Hanged for the year. And typically the hanged man is about self-sacrifice and, letting go of something, releasing our own stuff, right? So in terms of how do you take that information and translate it into a year card, look at it from the perspective of, what's going on with me this year? What is it that I have maybe been sacrificing? What is it that's got me, what am I hung up on, literally, this year? Am I being a little bit of a martyr? Is there something here that I need to just cut it out, let it go? Do I need to gain a new perspective? Is there something that's coming up for me this year that, I'm hanging upside down, so maybe I'm supposed to be seeing things from a different angle. So really, you're not taking the traditional card meanings too far out of the way. You're just sort of molding them or morphing them into a way of seeing the potential and how that card relates to you potentially in your life for the upcoming year. So on the website, under the resources section, there are a variety of free resources there, and this worksheet will go there as well. It would be called, or will be called, Year Card Lessons. So you will know what you're looking for. And that list will have information about all of the different year cards, what they could potentially mean, at least as a starting point for you to start digging into your own year card and what it means for you. All right, that is it. Have fun calculating your year card. Calculate the year card for anyone you know so you can sort of have an inside scoop on what might be going on with them as well. And have a blast. Have a great week, and I will look forward to talking to you soon. Be well, everybody. Bye-bye.